Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Happy Friday to you. You know the deal, Foundation Friday. Thank you so much for all the love you guys have been showing me during this series. Because the feedback has been so positive, this is something I am going to keep on doing. However, it won't be every Friday. It might be more so like every other Friday. So shout out to you guys for really loving Foundation Friday. For today's video, I'm gonna warn you, it's gonna be a talking head video. I don't have any cool visuals or jump cuts. We're just having a makeup chat about foundation, undertones, and shade ranges. I feel like the undertone is a very important part of your foundation. That's just me, my personal opinion as an MUA. You might talk to someone else and they feel like, nope, I don't think the undertone matters, but I personally think that it does. So first, let's talk about tips for figuring out your undertone, because this is a question that I get a lot and I understand why it could be tricky. Now, please understand that these are just guidelines to help you. They're not set in stone rules, but the first thing I would say is, what type of jewelry do you prefer? Do you prefer to wear gold jewelry? Do you think gold is more flattering? If you think gold is more flattering, then you're probably going to be more so on a warmer undertone. And if you think silver is more flattering, then you're probably going to be more so on the cooler undertone. Now, if you think they both look good, then guess what, sweet cheeks? You're right in the middle, neutral. Another way to figure it out, look at your veins. This is probably the first time where my veins aren't protruding out of me, but my veins are green. I'm talking dark forest green, popping green, Hulk green, okay? So if your veins are green, that means you have more so of a yellow, golden, or olive undertones. Now, it's tricky because I feel like most people, if you are a black woman, a woman of color, they automatically assume, okay, well, if you're warm, then you're red. And honestly, that is so far from the truth. When I first got into makeup, especially foundation, and I'd go to counters, they'd always want to put a red tone foundation on me. And for the life of me, I could not understand why. My foundation always looked crazy. I looked like a bowl of tomato soup. Then, as I started educating myself in practice and going to beauty school, you learn about all the different undertones and color theory. Then it clicked with me, oh, okay, I get it. That's not my undertone. So if you are someone like me and you have green veins, and your undertone is probably going to be somewhere between the yellow, golden, or olive. Now, I'm going to say something, and I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me, but hear me out. So my clientele, I'm a professional makeup artist. My clientele is very diverse, which is a huge blessing because that means I have the ability to work with any skin tone, from the fairest of the fair to the deepest of the deep. Now, something that I have noticed over my period of time dealing with black women, women of color, women that are my shade and deeper, it is a rare, I never use red-based undertones on them. I just don't. Me personally, whenever I look at most women, I can even say whenever I look at 90% of women of color that are sitting in my chair, whether it be an everyday woman, a model, I just don't see red. I think sometimes people maybe confuse warm with red. Warm does not mean red. Just because you have a warm undertone doesn't mean that your undertone is red. Just because you are a black woman doesn't mean that you have a red undertone. I don't keep any red undertone deep foundations in my kit, to be honest. Whenever I look at my deeper girls, I always look at the center of their face and their chest. And no matter what, to me, I tend to always see two things. I maybe will see golden, a little yellow, or I might even see a little peach. Now, here's where peach gets tricky. For me, if I see like a little peach, to me, on deeper skin, peach pulls more cooler or neutral. I don't know if anyone else feels the same as me, if I have any MUAs that watch me, or if I just have any everyday women that are deeper. Do you truly think that you have a red undertone? This is a conversation that I would really just like to really talk about, because I never use red-based undertones on women of color. I don't think it looks good. I do not think it looks good. It just looks bizarre. It just doesn't look good. That's just my personal opinion, but I'll get off that soapbox because that could be a whole nother conversation. All right, now flipping over to the opposite side of the spectrum, looking at your veins. Let's say if your veins are blue or purple. If your veins are blue and purple, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be more so on the cooler undertones. So cooler undertones are normally with the pinks and the reds, and me personally, I think peach, but you know, everybody sees differently. That's what's so tricky, because everyone's eye sees things differently. You can't tell someone that, oh no, well this is more cool or this is more warm. I mean, it's tricky, especially when I'm working with clients and I'm doing hair color. I'm a hair colorist as well. I've been a hair colorist for 7 years. And whenever someone says, oh, okay, well I just want to be brown, and it's kind of like, okay, well, let me see a picture. And then even when they show me the picture, I always say, okay, so does this look warm or looks cool to you? Because what my client sees versus what my trained eye sees might be totally different. So if they show me a picture and they say, yeah, I want my hair to look like this, and they're telling me they want it to be cool, but it's warm, then we gotta have another conversation. I have to show them some other pictures. So definitely keep that in mind as well. And then of course, if your veins are a little bit more bluish, greenish, somewhere in there, then guess what? You are neutral. Now neutral is interesting because when you are neutral, you can wear something that is a little bit maybe on the warmer side or maybe a little bit on the cooler side. It's not gonna make a huge difference, you know what I mean? So those are the undertones. Now, sorry, you guys know I always got notes because I never want to miss anything. Let's talk about brands and shade ranges. Now, when we talk about shade ranges, I'm not here to say, oh, well, this brand has this many shades or this brand doesn't have that many shades. That's not anything that I care about or even really care to talk about, because as far as I'm concerned, I already have my brands that I like, and I go to different brands for different specific things. I feel like certain brands do a better job at specific undertones than other brands. That's my main concern, not necessarily how many shades they have, but what are the undertones looking at? Because now I'm seeing the marketing scheme is 50 plus foundation shades. While in my personal opinion, I think that's freaking ridiculous. Too much of a good thing is too much. And this is just from the Fenty effect. Rihanna came, what, 2 summers ago, dropped her foundation, epic, game changing, thank you so much. And so brands saw that. And so now they're everyone's trying to one up each other. Oh, well, we have 55, we have 60, we have 70. Let me ask you a question. Do you truly think that 50 plus foundation shades is necessary? I personally feel that brands can get it between 40 and 50. I really do. Because what happens is when they start expanding, once we start going to the 60 plus, the 50 plus, my thought process is all of these shades are not realistic human shades. This is just me. I see some brands and I'll go and I'll pick up a shade and it looks so cool, so muted, so gray. My thought process is, well, are we working on aliens or something? Because if I put this on a client's face, they're gonna look drab, they're gonna look dead. You know what I mean? Some of these shades, some of these undertones aren't realistic skin tones. So to me, I feel like a brand is just wasting their money, but my personal opinion. Now let's switch gears here and talk about brands that I feel like do a really good job with their undertones. So for each skin tone, as far as light, medium, dark, deep, I have specific foundation, I have specific brands that I reach for. I feel like Makeup Forever does an excellent job with the pale girls. Now, this is another thing too, and I talk about it just simply because I am a makeup artist, and there has been a time, believe it or not, where I had a very pale skinned girl in my chair, and guess what? I didn't have a thing that would match her. I feel like Makeup Forever and MAC do exceptional jobs when it comes to the pale princesses. They do a really good job. The one thing that you don't want to do, which I have done before, is if you're working with someone or if you are someone that does have very pale skin, the last thing you want to do is grab a foundation that is too warm, too yellow. Oh my gosh, girl, you will look jaundiced. It will not be a good look. So I think Makeup Forever and MAC, whenever I need to get more foundation shades for my pale and light girls, that's where I go to. Switching gears, we're gonna bump it up. So we already talked about the pale and the light. Let's talk about the medium skin tones, the medium and tan girls. I feel like these skin tones, the brands that really do a good job with them, MAC is what stands out to me. For anyone that has medium to tan skin, and then to break it down by undertones, if you are someone who has really just like that yellow, gold, and olive tone, I feel like MAC, the NC series, they hit it right on the head. It is perfect whenever I am working with my girls that are medium skin tone, and if they do have that NC, the tan, the gold, and the yellow, I am in the process of switching over to MAC for that specific reason, just simply because I feel like the undertones are so on point. Now moving on, we're gonna go with the deep, dark, My Skin and Deeper. I feel like the brands that really do a good job with that, I feel like MAC does a good job, but recently here, again, I've been working on switching some things out in my kit. NARS. Their deep, dark shades, phenomenal. So pretty. Once I get mine in and I order them, I'll show you guys the ones for the deeper shades, but man, they are beautiful. So I think NARS does a good job, Lancome does a good job, and also my personal favorite, this is just me personal favorite, is Black Opal. I think Black Opal knocks it out of the park when it comes to their deep dark foundation shades. I use those on my clients, but the only thing that I'm running into now is it is warm. In my climate where I live, it is already currently 94 degrees, and I very well know that if I am working with a deeper skin woman and she has oily skin, the Black Opal, it'll hold, but it's not going to hold the way that I need it. So therefore, that's why I'm starting to implement more of the NARS and the MAC products in there, just simply because I know the longevity of those are fantastic. But those are just brands that I feel like do an exceptional well job at nailing it on the undertones, because for me, that is what's going to matter. There have been so many situations where I've had a foundation where it was too light for me, but I was able to work it out because the undertone was right. There is a situation where a foundation maybe was too dark for me, but again, the undertone was right. If a foundation was a touch too light for me, I can just bronze it and I'm gonna be okay. If a foundation is too deep for me, I can just highlight it and I'm gonna be okay. Now, the undertone, it can be the right dip. It can be deep enough for me. It can match. But if the undertone is wrong, there's no fixing. Like, I can't highlight to fix it. I can't bronze to fix it. It just doesn't look right. So when it comes to foundation and when you put it on your face and the shade matching, something that I hear a lot that is thrown around, which is very interesting to me, because the first time I heard it, it kind of shocked me, because this is a term that I'm only familiar with, that I was only familiar with, was hair color, because it's the process of hair coloring. Oxidation. I feel like the word oxidation, oxidizing is thrown around so loosely when it comes to makeup. I'm kind of like, that's not oxidation. So when coloring hair, taking my hair color for instance, my natural hair, as you can see I got massive roots, is very dark, okay? Just depending on how dark your hair is, you have to go through certain levels to get it lighter. If the darkest your hair is, the more levels you have to go through. So starting at the lowest, we have the red, then the orange, then the yellow. So when your hair is quote unquote light, when I'm lightening hair, it goes through the oxidation process. It's going through and busting through all of those undertones, and then the oxygen, that is the whole oxidation process. So when I hear people say, oh, I put this makeup on my face and it oxidized, I'm kind of like, oxidation doesn't work that fast. it takes a little bit longer than 2 minutes for your foundation to quote unquote oxidize, if in fact it is going to oxidize. Something that I feel like is not talked about a lot is, please, you have to keep in mind that your skin type is going to play a huge role in how a foundation shade looks on you. For instance, I am very oily, okay? Because I am so oily, I typically buy my foundation shade a touch lighter, and here's why. I know that once the foundation hits my skin, give it, I don't know, 10-20 minutes for my skin to warm up to it, or for my oil to push through, it's gonna get darker. Everyone's pH balance is different, but I do know if you are oilier, by the time your oil starts to really push through and your skin warms up the foundation, that's just how it looks on you. It doesn't mean that the foundation has oxidized. It just means that the makeup of your skin type, your pH balance, makes it change a little bit. That has nothing to do with it being a bad foundation shade, or foundation oxidation. That ain't it. Something else, another thing that can play a part into the foundation, quote unquote, oxidizing, but not really, the formula. For instance, a lot of people, Fenty, when they came out with their foundations, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, you know, buy the shade lighter because it oxidizes. No, it doesn't oxidize, it dries down. When something is, think about it, when you have a t-shirt, maybe, you know, and you pull it out of the washer, it's wet, right? It looks different versus when it's dry. Same thing, when you're working with the matte formula, it's once it dries down, it is going to dry down to its true shade. So when you first pump it out and it's in liquid form and it hasn't dried down, that's not the true shade. So by the time you put it on your face and it sets, that's the true shade. So just because it dried down on you doesn't mean that it oxidized. That just means the formula dried down and now you are at the true shade. Now foundation oxidation, that's when, you know, the oxygen hits the foundation, and let's say you put it on and then you come back and you look, if your foundation for some reason is 2 shades deeper, 3 shades darker, yes baby, your foundation has oxidized. So I hope that you guys are able to understand and I explained that well, but that is just something that has always irritated me. My foundation oxidized. No, it didn't oxidize. Either you have really, really oily skin, or it's just the formula. But that's just me, my experience. You guys always know I am very, very open to your opinion, so please down below, I want to hear your thoughts on everything that we talked about. Also, I want you to tell me foundation that you're currently using, your undertone, and what shade it is, because I'm always curious to know. Y'all know I'm makeup nosy. I love to know what everyone's doing. Also, thank you so much to everyone that has subscribed to my website. If you don't mind, go to amberpatchalock.com, scroll down to the bottom, type in your email and hit subscribe. After that, you will get an email sent directly to you asking to confirm. Just hit confirm. I'm going to start doing a weekly newsletter probably at the beginning of every week. I won't spam you. I'm not going to be sharing your email, nothing like that. It'll just be a weekly newsletter, video roundup. So if you happen to miss a video from last week, you can catch up. I definitely want to do this more so to keep you guys up to date with newer products that I'm using, because this no buy from May has been real. Guys, I have not bought any makeup all May long, and I'm so proud of myself. It's almost been like a whole spiritual awakening thing for me, but you guys know I speak a ton about, you know, your finances and stop buying products that you're not going to use. So for me, not buying makeup for a whole month has been challenging, but a good challenge. I know that I can do it, and I think this is something that I'm going to be implementing in my life. I'm probably going to be only buying makeup every other month, or just going to really, really crunch it down and set a budget for it. But I'm about to go in on some makeup, so be ready. There's about to be a lot of product reviews. And since I'm going to be buying a lot more makeup, I know sometimes it's hard for me to update you guys, and that's where the weekly newsletter will come in. I can update you, let you know, hey, try this, it was working, or did this and it wasn't working. And also, just want to keep you up to date. I want you to be in the know on a couple of things that I got coming up on the future. Alright guys, so you know the deal. Keep it simple, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.